Hi, I'm Cynthia Brown. I'm doing an interview with Sylvester Brown for my African American class. So, Sylvester, how would you identify yourself?
Identify myself by being an African American born in Tuskegee, Alabama in 1954, right at the start of the civil rights movement in Montgomery, Alabama and Selma, Alabama.
What was it like growing up as an African American male?
Well, during that time it was very difficult because, as you may know, uh, Dr. Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement was on the beginning of a very active, volatile uh, uh, movement, which impacted us as being students growing up in a predominantly white southern Alabama town where everything was basically controlled by the whites to where we couldn't even use the bathrooms. We couldn't even share the same theater without going to our separate side. We couldn't even dine in the same restaurant. So it impacted me totally in terms of my upbringing.
What does it mean to be black to you?
What it means to be black to me now or then?
Then and now.
Well, being black growing up in the South again, it was somewhat difficult because our roles was very defined. I mean, we were even limited to where we could go. The only good news was that we knew we could go and pray in black churches, and if you ever tried to enter a white establishment, you was met with resistance. Sometimes you was told you can't enter that because of the color of your skin. So it was very heartbreaking and somewhat disturbing to know that you was growing up in a society that you couldn't fully express yourself. What it feels like now, we've come a long ways. I think there are obstacles still out there, but for the most part, I've been able to achieve, to the greatest degree of whatever I set out to accomplish. So I think over the years, a lot has been done for racial equality, to achieve racial equality.
Can you describe what your family was like?
Growing up in the South?
Yes.
Well, as I stated in regards to myself, I mean, we all was constricted to what we could do growing up in Tuskegee, Alabama. We grew up in a town where we had Tuskegee, it was known as Tuskegee Institute, but now since it's Tuskegee University. And that was a good thing because, again, growing up in segregated elementary school and high school, we knew that there was a college, a university that we could go to and continue our education without, being stereotyped or limited to our ability to achieve, greater success.
What was your economic standing growing up?
Um, First, it was my mother and father, but my father passed away at an early age, and then my mother, worked at the Veterans Administration Hospital in Tuskegee at the time. It was the fifth largest veterans hospital in the country, so it was a sprawling campus. So she was able to get a job, make decent wages to accommodate a family of five, all boys, and you might know that must have been a struggle in itself to be raising four very strong-willed young men at that time.
Have you faced racism? If so, how did that affect your upbringing?
I think, yes, I faced racism all the way through college, through my first job, through into the military. I mean, racism is everywhere. I don't think it was limited just to the South. Uh, I think that what I've learned growing up in the South is that it can stare you in the face, but you have two choices: to face it head on or go around those obstacles to continue your success. Uh, so I believe my background in growing up in the racial South, segregated South at that time, prepared me for the future, which allowed me to deal with almost any situation that was presented to me. And to this point, everything, seems to be okay in my life.
Has being black changed your view on the world?
No, matter of fact, being black has advanced my views in the world because we as Dr. Martin Luther King said then, I think it's still evidence now, we shall overcome. And we've seen the education or the advancement with President Barack Obama as the first black president of the United States, and he won a second term. And I remember telling my beautiful wife that he would never win because of all of the racial tension that was, well, that's where we came from, and with the racial tension that still somewhat stirs up every once in a while, that he wasn't going to be successful. But my wife proved me wrong, and he is, as he is currently, the President of the United States, and I think there's been a lot of achievement.
Has racism had an effect on how you view yourself?
No, not at all. I think, again, I've been blessed, and I think a lot of us have been blessed, because you can look around the United States of America and find a lot of blacks who have achieved, enormous success, to where they are CEOs of Fortune 5 company, they're president of some of the finest university in this country. And I mean, those are just known examples, but we have a lot of African Americans, and to include myself, I achieved the rank of Sergeant Major in the United States Army, and that was something that if I thought could have taken place when I first joined the military, I would have fooled myself. But I think my attitude, behavior, belief system the values that I was raised with, allowed me to steer around some of the racial obstacles in this world and go on to achieve, a stellar career in the United States Army.
So last question, what is the most important lesson you have learned and why?
Well, the most important lesson I've learned is that you can be born into obscurity, and you can be raised out of that if you are taught, the values and belief that we all was born equal, but we are raised in a world that doesn't always provide you equality. So therefore, your upbringing, if it was great or good in terms of your lessons your parents instilled in you, that you can steer yourself to a life of success and achievement based on the fact that your parents gave you a good foundation to value in life.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your day to let me interview you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Good luck.
Thank you.